footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you our 2013 preview of the Fight Hunger Bowl between the BYU Cougars and the Washington Huskies. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with BYU.
The BYU Cougars entered this bowl game with an 8-4 record, and they're very solid on both sides of the ball. Offensively, it's been the ground game led by sensational tailback Jamal Williams and quarterback Taysom Hill. Both guys have combined for over 2,400 yards rushing and 16 touchdowns. Now versus Washington, the Cougars will have to find ways to get the passing game going early. BYU has valuable options with the talented Cody Hoffman and Skylar Ridley, along with tight end Kenyaku Frio. It doesn't have to be explosive, but enough to keep the Huskies honest, and it could make life that much easier on third downs. Now defensively versus Washington, the front seven will play a huge role, in particular your front three. That's defensive tackle Ethan Maliuna. He has to get penetration to help derail Bishop Sankey, and at running game, while defensive coordinator Nick Howell has to find even more creative ways to utilize All-American linebacker Kyle Benoit in both run support as well as in pass coverage. Now let's move over to Washington in this ball game, and the Huskies are also 8-4, and they're able to attack you in many different ways on offense. Now this week versus BYU, the primary focus will be on how to expand that Cougars defense. They must be able to make BYU cover every blade of grass. Now whether that's trying to get to the edge in a running game with Bishop Sankey, or trying to work the short quick game with the wide receivers, or even featuring tight end Austin Seferian-Jenkins early in an attempt to try to take control of the middle of the field. The right answer actually would be all of the above. The Huskies have to be able to wear down that Cougars defense with multiplicity. Now defensively, the Huskies have tremendous athletes on the perimeter like Shaq Thompson, for example. However, BYU's offense is one that tests your patience and your discipline of your defense. If Washington is going to have success, that defensive line led by nose tackle Danny Shelton will have to be able to not allow the guards to get to the second level, and they can't allow themselves to get washed in the running game as well. If they are able to do both, that would allow the linebackers free reign to the football and make plays at or behind the line of scrimmage. The X factor in this ball game for BYU will be their secondary. Washington will come into this ball game and try to expand their defense with 3, 4, and sometimes empty sets. Those guys on the back end will have to be able to not only match up, but also make plays in space. The X factor for the Huskies will be tight end Austin Seferian-Jenkins. I think he can have a huge day versus that secondary of BYU. So I look for these guys to get him involved very early in this ball game and giving them that matchup opportunity over the middle of the field. Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For BYU, the nickel and dime defenders must excel. We spoke about this earlier. Pretty sure Washington will try to go out there and expand that defense and force those nickel and dime guys on the field because they believe their third and fourth wide receiver is better than BYU's third and fourth corner. So those guys have to be able to make plays in order for this defense to have success. And the offensive line has to be able to protect Taysom Hill back there in the pocket because BYU will have to throw the football in order to back up that defense. And Taysom Hill, again, that arm has to be on display very early. You want to loosen up that box, and remember, it doesn't have to be dynamic. It just has to be enough to get that defense to back off a little bit so that way you can run the football that much more effectively. And for the Huskies in this ball game, you want to take away one of the running options for BYU. You can't have both guys having success as Taysom Hill as well as Jamal Williams. Take one guy away, and that way you limit half of what they want to do offensively. And I would also keep Keith Price on the move. You want to move that pocket because quiet is kept. Washington's offensive line also struggles in pass pro, and you don't want to make him a sit and duck back there in the pocket. Keep him on the move. And as far as getting pressure on Taysom Hill is concerned, it has to come from that A and B gap. Interior pressure kills the mobile quarterback's ability to get outside the pocket. That way you can play contain on the outside and get that pressure on the middle, and I think that's where they can have some success. Now here are some 2014 draft prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ball game. For BYU, linebacker Kyle Benoit is one of the most athletic linebackers in the country, can do a great job in run support, also drop back in coverage, and is an effective blitzer getting to the quarterback. Cody Hoffman, big time fan of his game and what he brings to the table. 6'4", 210, can high point the heck out of the football, is an instant red zone target. Defensive tackle Ethan Maliuna, stout at the point of attack, 6'2", 310 pounds. And on the back end, you look at strong safety Daniel Sorensen. Keep an eye on this guy. Very strong in run support and also has the instincts of a free safety, but playing strong. And tight end Kenyaku Frio, a guy that doesn't get as many opportunities in the passing game, but he definitely can catch the football. Definitely is what you want as far as blocking is concerned. But once he gets to the next level, you're going to see his receiving skills put on display. And for Washington in this ball game, tight end Austin Seferian-Jenkins is one of the best tight ends in the country. And this is a guy that's a very underrated blocker, better known for his receiving skills, but does a great job in-line blocking in the running game. Sean Parker, outstanding safety, junior prospect that's more likely to come out. Definitely is what you want on the back end. Shows that tremendous range from sideline to sideline, as well as Bishop Sankey, an outstanding tailback. Volume type of guy. The more you give him the football, the better he's going to be, but definitely has what you want as far as balance and power, and is always falling forward. And an underrated prospect in this draft will be Keith Price, a quarterback out of Washington. Has played a lot of football and has gotten better each and every year. Definitely keep an eye on him moving forward. And along that defensive line, you look at defensive end Hauli Kikaha. This is a guy that has tremendous burst coming off the edge. His first step is outstanding, and also has stand-up edge rushing possibilities in a 3-4 defense at the next level. And we've talked about Danny Shelton before. Very strong at the point of attack, a nose tackle at 6'1", 330. Definitely what you want either in a 3-4 defense as a nose tackle or a 1-tech in a 4-3. The 2011 version of the Fight Hunger Bowl between Boston College and Nevada featured numerous future NFL players, including Boston College linebackers Luke Kuechly and Mark Herzlich, along with Nevada quarterback Colin Kaepernick and Rashard Matthews at wide receiver, along with Dante Moak, the defensive end, just to name a few. Now, as far as the game itself, after an exciting first quarter, both defenses tightened up and Nevada was able to come away victorious 20-13, finishing the season with a 12-1 record. Legendary head coach Lavelle Edwards led his 9-3 BYU Cougars into battle versus the Oklahoma Sooners in the 1994 Copper Bowl, and this one was dominated by the Cougars on both sides of the ball, as quarterback John Walsh threw for over 450 yards and 4 touchdowns, while the defense shut out the Sooners until late in the fourth quarter to win 31-6. In the 1961 Rose Bowl, the number 7 Washington Huskies, led by head coach Jim Owens, took on the number 1 ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers, who featured All-American quarterback Sandy Stevens. And it was that Husky defense that made Stevens very ineffective that day, intercepting him 3 times and holding a Gopher offense that averaged 30 points a game all season to only 7, as the Huskies were able to come away victorious 17-7 in that Rose Bowl game. After transferring from a junior college, Jason Buck made his last 2 seasons of college football count in the best way possible, becoming a campus legend at BYU. As a junior, he was the WAC Defensive Player of the Year and also voted 3rd-team All-American as he wrapped up the season with 11.5 sacks. And as a senior in '86, was a consensus All-American and took on the Outland Trophy Award as he finished the '86 season with 13 sacks. Washington Huskies head coach Gil Dobie put together an impressive record of 58 wins, 0 losses, and 3 ties. In 1916, he won the Pacific Coast Conference Championship, and his coaching winning record compiled 95% of the wins in the Huskies' 63-game winning streak, which is still an NCAA record. I like Washington in this ball game. When you look at the Huskies, they're a well-balanced offense. They can beat you with the run, they can beat you with the pass, and defensively, they can get you off the field. And when you look at BYU, they struggle in the red zone. I think that's where the Huskies will have some success in trading 7 for 3. And on offense, I think they'll put a lot of pressure on that BYU secondary by spreading the field and attacking the individual matchups and forcing those guys to make plays in space. That's why I think they also have the advantage. So I think the Huskies will win the 2013 version of the Fight Hunger Bowl.